It's Mother's Day. Shout out to the 7 or 8 women who watch this channel. I don't know if you have kids, but if you do, I will be their father figure. Put your tiny hand in mine. I'm just kidding. I ain't paying no child support. You're out of your mind. But of course, my grind does not stop all because it's Mother's Day. Although I'm going to my uncle's in a little bit to watch the Knicks game, and my mother is in town, so give her a hug. I don't really know what you buy people on Mother's Day. I feel like flowers are played out, but we have to talk about video game news and some Nintendo related news. Nintendo has been at the forefront of a lot of people's minds ever since the recent investors meeting. We learned about the fact that there's going to be a June Nintendo Direct. We learned about the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 will allegedly be unveiled before the end of the fiscal year, ending in March of 2025. We also learned other things. There was lots of little tidbits that President Furukawa gave about the system itself. Very interesting time for Nintendo as we are in this transition phase. But a leak, rumor, I don't know what you want to call it, went out last night. And when you kind of trace it to other things, it's actually quite a telling thing. So we're going to take a look at this together. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But we're going to head on over to Twitter and look at a tweet that was done by Midori, who is a leaker. I believe it's a female. I don't know. I'm just going to say they because it's 2024. I'm not going to get in trouble here. But this individual put out this tweet at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time today, saying that there is a project at Nintendo with the codename U-King-O. It might be related to the rumors of the next Nintendo console codename. So a lot of people have been talking about codename stuff, and really, they've been talking about projects that are going on at Nintendo right now, such as, I know Stupid Spawn Wave made one on the Banquet thing. There's evidently a game called Banquet that has the code name Banquet that's being done, and I'm like, bro, is that like cheap frozen meals? Like, I don't understand what we're talking about with that. But with this, people are looking for the code name of the system itself. I guess it could be somewhat interesting as far I don't really know what it would sort of bring about as far as really revealing anything about the system. Like, it's a code name. I guess it's cool for like a little bit of a discussion, but kind of beyond that, there's not much to it. However, when you look deeper into this Yu-King thing, you would see here that the original name, the code name for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was Yu-King. And this is U-King-O. Now, there's a lot of things to deduce from that. You can see Skipper here. This is an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's codename is U-King for Switch 1 ports. Nintendo likes to add the suffix S to a game's codename, but this one has an O suffix, which they have never used before. I think this is for the successor. And so essentially, what a lot of people are taking away from this is that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to get an enhanced version of the game for the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo Switch successor. Now, let's put on our thinking caps. Let's go back to Gamescom of last year, where supposedly there were some behind the door, closed door sort of reveals of Switch for upcoming developer partners of the Switch 2, that is. And some of the things that were allegedly running were Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Matrix demo, and of course, there was an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild that was allegedly at 4K 60 frames per second. So this kind of lines up very well with that. I think it would be very random to throw out a code name out there and assume that it was, because I mean, I think if Midori was trying to fool people here, like, they wouldn't have done it this way. It could be related to the rumors of the next Nintendo console codename. So I feel like there was some sort of doubt as far as what this codename actually was until people in the comments section put 2 and 2 together. So what would this actually be? I guess it would be an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild that probably runs at 4K 60 frames per second. It probably has all the DLC on this version of the game as well, because of course that game did receive some subsequent DLC for it. And I think that that's very interesting for a myriad of reasons, because to me, that's a game that you would launch with the system, because you're not going to have another Zelda game. You're not going to have like a new Zelda game at the launch of this system unless it's just something very, very small. And obviously, Breath of the Wild sold very well for you with the launch of the original Nintendo Switch. I think this enhanced version would attract a lot of people, myself included, because obviously that game does have some performance issues and some performance qualms that should be ironed out a bit. Did it have, it kind of, why not do Tears of the Kingdom? Well, maybe there's a reason behind that. I'm not quite sure. But what I find very interesting about this is, what does this mean on the backwards compatibility side of things? Because there's two ways you could go with this. And what was my one reservation with hopping onto the backwards compatibility bandwagon? It was the fact that Nintendo has been reselling you games for years and years and years, and people always buy them, and people always, they always sell really well. So the best-selling Nintendo Switch game is a Wii U game. And, a lot of people would say, oh, well, that's just because nobody bought a Wii U, really. 13 million units sold. These games deserved a chance to shine. And I completely agree with you. However, this to me feels like it would be a whole new release. And if that's the case, what about if I own Breath of the Wild on my Switch? Am I going to be able to pop that cartridge into my Switch 2 and potentially have access to this patch? Am I gonna have to pay money for it? Is it gonna be like Sony does with a $10 upgrade? Or is Nintendo just gonna be like, hey, pony up the money? You're paying $70 for this game again. That to me is the biggest hesitation when it comes to full-on backwards compatibility with the Nintendo Switch 2. Like, I just think about things like that, and you look at the track record of Nintendo, what they've done with their games as far as the Switch to the Wii U. At least they had sort of an excuse. You can't pop a Wii U disc into your Nintendo Switch system and then automatically play it because it's a different sort of physical medium. And I guess if we're having a similar physical medium with the Switch 2 to the Switch, since President Furukawa pretty much described it as more so a successor than something just reinventing the wheel, you would have to wonder, like, is there going to potentially be some confusion about Switch versions of a game versus Switch 2 versions of a game? And will there be a upgrade path for people who have been supporting you and made the Nintendo Switch the success as to what it was? So I feel like this kind of adds some more questions than answers, more so. But I do feel like it's an interesting thing to talk about just because of the fact that we've heard about this 4K 60 frame Breath of the Wild already. If it wasn't for the Gamescom thing and, putting two and two together, I wouldn't really think much of this, rumor, leak, whatever you want to call it. But when you kind of look at everything, you figure out that this is Breath of the Wild related. You also figure out that, it has nothing to do with a code name of the system, but it's the code name of the original Breath of the Wild with the additional suffix at the end. Like, things get kind of interesting. But I do wonder what that means for backwards compatibility. Because I could see a lot of people being upset. I don't know. I say that I think a lot of people would be upset, but it's been proven time and time again that a lot of Nintendo fans are okay. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not, stuff like Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. Like, I love that game. And I paid that for that game and I have zero regrets about it. Same thing with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, it's kind of just your mileage will vary with it. Because guess what, kids? It's not going to be a budget release. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, this is that old game. We'll sell it to you for $40. No sir, no ma'am. That's going to be a $70 damn game. Let me know in the comment section down below, though. What do you think about this? Would this be an attractive thing for you? Would this interest you? Would you want to buy this, or are you good with the original Breath of the Wild? I mean, I love Breath of the Wild. I love Tears of the Kingdom. But I would love to play them at better frame rates and resolution, because I think it would almost kind of transform the gameplay of the game and just make it so much smoother. But I don't want to hear any of that from you jackasses who are like, oh, 60 frames, 30 frames. There's no difference. There's no difference whatsoever. You can't enjoy that game. You can't backtrack that. Because I know you will. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, like I said at the start, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are a mother, or you are a husband, or you're a kid and you have a mom, give your mom a hug today. It's her day. And we'll do the same thing on Father's Day. I don't play that stuff where the bitter, angry single mom says, I'm a mom and a dad too. Dads, don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. You have your day. Enjoy your day, girl. And yeah, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.